The Cardiff City phone-in. Welcome along once again. As the transfer window literally slammed shut just a few seconds ago, and it's all the excitement to the fair watching the transfer window with Cardiff City. But we have brought I think the right players in, so it's actually not all bad at all in my opinion. Cohen Griffth is with us. Welcome back on the show, Cohen. Great to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Steve, thank you.
Steve Wiggy Wiggins, the wonder of Wiggy, is with us, of course.
Yeah, evening, gents. Nice to be on.
And Gwilym Rees, who welcome back on the show. I think it's been a few years, Gwilym, we worked out, didn't we?
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, welcome.
No reason for that. It's just the way it was. I bumped into you at the club, didn't I, at the shop, and asked you to come on. So yeah, and actually Viv as well.
Delighted.
Maverick suggested it as well. So, Cohen, can we to start off tonight? We had a couple of games to look back on this week. We had a 2-2 draw on the weekend against arguably one of the worst sides in the league, but they almost did the double over us. And then we did a 4-0 battering of Barnsley, which was in the afternoon, in the second half rather, which is a bit of a stroll in the park. So we'll come on to that. But Cohen, I don't know whether you do. Do you have any sort of memories of transfer deadline, stuff, any kind of stories, or am I moving this time and this kind of thing, or sudden move?
Nobody ever wanted me, and my transfer deadline days. I mean, I would have loved to have been, heavily involved, but unfortunately, no. So yeah, very, very boring on that one. I mean, there was no point in even staying by the phone.
Did you? Well, so did you have any, in the squad then when you particularly when at Cardiff City, were the kind of surprise last minute moves that you remember with players you were with?
God, now you are asking the wrong person here, because my memory is really, really bad.
Can't be worse than that.
But I seriously don't think so. I mean, I remember thinking that, if anybody was going to go, perhaps Blakey might go, or perhaps Daly when he was, on fire and stuff like that. But no, I don't think people went particularly, as far as I can remember anyway. And in terms of coming in, people may have come in, but I can't remember somebody particularly coming in on deadline day.
So just you kind of nodded towards something there, which I'll ask you about then, because I remember, Gwilym's going to come back to you in a bit about cup games in a bit. But remember that famous Man City game when Nathan got that great goal, yeah. And then he was kind of gone. Once that ball hit the back of the net, he was more or less gone. I think I put a pint behind the bathroom in the John Charles suite at the time. But what were your thoughts on that with Nathan? It was kind of inevitable, wasn't he? He just had that bit of class about him, didn't he?
Yeah. He was obviously a good player and could play in a variety of positions as well. I don't think he went immediately after that
before
goal.
The next round, wasn't there? I think.
Yeah, I just felt that Blakey was played well and was capable of doing that and creating those moments. But when you go higher up, they want it more often. So it was just when he started to show, I felt anyway, a little bit more consistency in playing well, that someone decided to I think it was Sheffield United, wasn't it? Decided to take the gamble on it. So it was always going to happen. It was just a case of when, and I thought as soon as he started to show that consistency, he went.
Was he a big mate of yours, Nathan, at all?
Yeah, me and Blakey got on all right. So I got to be fair. I wouldn't say sort of going out all the time and stuff like that. I mean, I was probably getting on a little bit at the time then, but we used to be fine, within the changing rooms, on the coach or whatever it might be. So we had our moments, but I wouldn't say we were massive, best mates and stuff like that.
Look, there's a fairly controversial comment here, not about you, Cohen, but I'll go to it in a second about the transfer window, which I'll get your opinion on first. I just to say with you and Nathan, so years ago, Nathan, I was working at Red Dragon Radio in those days, so Nathan used to come in, he used to be on the show. I remember he had very, very shiny shoes, and he was kicking a football around in the reception area, very well dressed as ever. But I memean, you and him, really, personality-wise, quite very, very different personalities. He was like pretty full on, Nathan, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting that he loves his clothes. Blakey does, probably still does, but he loved his clothes, and used to wear some of the most outrageous things you've ever seen. Especially when we won the league, and then we went away to Cabos, I think it was, wherever it was. Then the full array of Blakey's wardrobe came out then, and it was unbelievable. But yeah, he's a good lad, and he deserved to get his move, and was always going to get there at some stage, I felt.
Well, just to say very briefly, one of the great pleasures of my when I was in broadcasting was sitting next to Nathan then for the next round against Luton in the old box with Phil Suarez covering the game for Red Dragon. Quite an amazing experience. He was good at that as well. It's no surprise he's gone on to do what he's done now. So I'll go to this comment, and the comment is that Tan has failed the fans and failed Murphy. Give you had a wobble. If you're happy with him still being owner for the next transfer window. So it's a fairly controversial kind of comment. I'll come back to you, Cohen, on that. Give you time to digest it. And Gwilym, I'll come to you. Is that just is that fairly extreme point of view? How are you feeling about things?
I don't agree with it, to be quite honest. With regards to the transfer window not being supported and things like that, he's we're top of the league. And the other thing is, if you bring the players are very tight knit at the moment, and there's obviously a good team spirit. And if you bring people in, obviously somebody's got to drop out of the match day 18. And I guess that can cause discontent. So when they say, he hasn't supported the manager, I think if we were down the bottom of the league and he was trying to get some players in, I would say, he hasn't supported the manager. We're top of the league. There's a great team spirit going. And I just feel if you bring too many players in at this stage, it could upset the apple cart. And I don't try and fix something that isn't broke. I accept that we haven't got cover at left back. And he signed the young lad from Liverpool, isn't he? So I'm more than happy with where we are now, and I think with regards to Tan, I think once the Salah case gets sorted out in the next few months, we might see some movement on that front. But I don't think anything will happen until that's been resolved.
No, I think that's pretty fair comment. Steve, you see, you were slightly disappointed we didn't bring in a little bit of backup up front, were you?
Yeah, slightly, Steve. But notoriously, the January transfer window is always a tricky one because everyone's looking for a goal scorer. Everyone wants a good centre half. It's a notorious time where where you're going to pay, if you are going to buy, you're going to pay an inflated price like that kid that signed for Crystal Palace, 40 odd million. Well, he's hardly hit a barn door for Wolves, and he's signed for Crystal Palace for 48 million. It's crazy times. The money in football is absolutely crazy at the moment, and I don't know where it's going to stop. But I would have personally liked another striker, but it's like we've said, where's he going to come from? Who's he going to be? And is he going to upset the momentum we got at the top? I think we're sort of a little bit greedy at times, aren't we? We're top of the league, but we always want that little bit extra. It would have been nice to get maybe a winger or another striker in. But I'm glad we've got cover at left back because it's so needed, as we saw on Saturday. And I don't think Ronan can play left back. I'm not sure he can play right back, to be honest. I'd sooner see him a bit further forward. No,
he's not a fullback, is he?
No, I think he's more a midfield player.
Yeah,
a bit like Cohen. A bit like
100%.
Cohen was. He's got a bit of pace about him as well. So I'm glad that kid came in from Liverpool. I think he scored against us for Millwall.
Did he?
Season.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I think he had a particularly good game.
Yours won then, didn't he?
Yeah. So he does, yeah. But it would have been nice. But as Gwilym's just said there, Steve, perhaps who knows what's going on behind the scenes. And, Mr. Tan's probably can see us doing well at the top of the league. Why would he want to, put even more money into the club if he's looking at us getting promoted and in what we're doing now and maybe selling the club in the summer? You know, I think he wants out, if the truth be known, doesn't he? And it's like Willem said, you know, the case with Salah's coming up, and perhaps he's perhaps he's already talking to people. We don't know, you know. So
Yeah.
I can sort of understand why he hasn't put any more cash in. I can see why people would be a little disappointed, though. You know, just a push, just to get us over the line. But like you said, we got Ruben coming back and Salix coming back, and hopefully, you know, so three guys who probably be in the first team on the way back shortly. So
And Lawler, of course.
Lawler, yeah.
So there's a great comment here for you, Cohen. You'll like this one, I think. Back in '88, me and my best mate used to kick a Coke can around the schoolyard. He was Carl Dale, and I was always Cohen Griffith. Pleased to say, eventually we changed the can for a real ball. I mean, what an honour! Someone's kicking a Coke can, you know, thinking it's you, Cohen. How great is that?
Yeah, I probably missed it a few times as well.
No, you were well thought of. You know, you're well thought of, City. Actually, I just want to open it up to go a little more wiggy. You've got any questions for Cohen? Actually.
Obviously, when I heard you were coming on tonight, Cohen, I had a quick look back in the history books. Now, I'm referring, we've already touched on it tonight, the 93-94 season. I couldn't believe the amount of fixtures that were played that year. Can you? How many cup games do you reckon you played in that year, 93-94, the Man City Cup year?
Oh God, I really don't know, but I used to enjoy the regular fixtures. I used to enjoy the cup runs and stuff like that, mainly because, and it wasn't so much squad rotation then, and I used to enjoy having a cup run because it meant that we didn't train that much. So
that season, Cohen, you played in 21 cup games for Cardiff.
With the
21.
Welsh Cup and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Welsh Cup, League Cup, Auto Glass Cup, Cup Winners' Cup. And footballers today, when they all say they get overplayed, that's an incredible amount. You know,
it's perfect. That's less training, as far as I was concerned. I was doing the best training.
Steve, you got a question for Cohen?
Yeah, I wanted to Cohen to quickly touch on modern day football, and I always remember you flying down the wing, and pace was one of your big assets. But excuse me. The modern day game, let's take our team at the moment. The inclination is to play. Let's go back to Saturday. We got Tanner playing on the right side, who's predominantly a left-footed player, and we got Willett playing on the left side, who's predominantly a right-footed player. I just wonder. I think you were right-footed, Cohen. Am I right? I think you were right-footed. Would you sooner play than? As back in the day as you did, probably on your natural side, or what do you think of the current system? Like, a lot of teams are doing this in inverted winger business, you know, so they're cutting in on their natural foot.
It depends on what your aims are and what the goals of the team are. Now, if you've got a big centre forward and you're going to sort of cross the ball and try and get them in to go and head it and stuff like that, then maybe it might be a case of having so going more to the line and then crossing it in. If you've got somebody who's got a great shot or is going to whip it in, and then you might go in on the back post and everybody's going to cross it and the keeper can't move and it sneaks in, or you're coming in and you've got a good shot in it and you're doing that, then you rather than creating, you're scoring the goals yourself. So it depends. I mean, I know a load of teams are doing it at the moment. So, but these things seem to go round in circles, and a couple of years ago nobody would have a long throw, and now somebody decided, well, I'm not, it's a wasted opportunity to get that ball in the box, so they started putting it in, and now everybody's doing it again. So I think it'll probably come back to right footers on the right again, but why can't we be able to use both?
This is where I've got a slight issue, and listen, I'm not knocking anyone because we're top of the league, and to be top of the league compared to last season is an amazing achievement. But we've got when he's fit, we've got a 6'3" centre forward, and I don't think we get the balls in the box, and I don't think we get to the byline enough. I don't think we put the balls in the box enough. I used to play centre forward, only a senior league, but I wanted our wingers, and our wingers used to always get to the byline. I knew the balls were fizzing into the box, and I overheard Mr. Murphy on Saturday saying he was disappointed that we didn't create enough. And the other issue I got is we don't shoot enough. A couple of times on Saturday, I think Bagan he was eight yards out on the corner of the 6-yard box, could have had a shot. But that's my issue with when you've got a 6'3" centre forward. Why don't we get to the byline a bit more? Why don't we switch our wingers during the game? I go back to when when Burke was playing. Burke, and I think it was Noon on the other side. We always used to move our wingers around a bit, but we're very regimented in what we do. But saying that, we're top of the league. So
yeah,
it's a minor gripe. You can't say too much.
Yeah. Maybe there's a case for just swapping occasionally. Somebody, if you're not perhaps getting the better of your man, you could say maybe swap and just see how it's working, or just 5-10 minutes, whatever it might be, just for a little change. But I'm sure they're playing to instructions. They're playing to instructions, and as you're saying, they're top of the league at the moment. So so you can't argue too much, because there's more right than wrong.
No, I think City fans can be a little bit hard to please, but in general we are happy. We're top of the league. That's where we want to be. So it's not a major problem. And we dropped some points in the weekend. We're gonna drop points sometimes, aren't we? So Steve Thomas, hi Steve, has got a good one for you, Cohen. He says, I remember going to Fulham in 1989. We won 5-2. Missed a last minute penalty. I don't know who took that, by the way. I bet Cohen can't remember. You remember? Oh,
Jeff Chandler.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But Pikey got the first and you got the second, Cohen. Do you remember that?
Well, I just signed. I actually got to that game.
Come on, Steve, get your facts together.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I didn't get to very often, so that's how come I know. And I just got taken off, and then we got the penalty, and obviously I never scored a hat trick. So, and I probably wouldn't have scored a hat trick anyway. But I think I would have been arguing to try and take it if I'd still been.
Yeah. I've got better memories of you than Jeff Chandler, by the way, but just put that one out there for now. Yeah. As an academy coach, Cohen, Halftime Oranges, great name. How would you rate, if you know about it, because I know Gwilym watches a lot of this, how would you rate Cardiff's current crop of youngsters, I suppose, at first team level, right at the moment? And where do you think we sit in terms of academy rankings across the UK? Is that something you think maybe we're doing a bit better these days? Because we seem to have some players coming through, don't we?
Yeah, I think in terms of players coming through 100%, and it might always have been, I think Cardiff's academy has been reasonably well thought of anyway. It's just maybe they weren't getting the opportunities, and maybe just the fact that you drop down a division, and it gives you the opportunity to play the youngsters, or perhaps through I don't know, maybe financial restrictions, you have to play the youngsters, and they've proved that they can do the job. So no, I can't really rate its comment in terms of where Cardiff City Academy sits amongst everybody else's, because I don't really know that. But I've always felt that Cardiff youngsters needed to be given a chance, and it seems that they're being given a chance at the moment, and they're by and large doing really well.
So I wanted to ask you something about the then squad in 92, 93. As I remember it, it was a pretty small squad, and it was like a really tight-knit bunch. So going back to the transfer window having now sort of closed, do you see the merits in that then, Cohen, in terms of not kind of, shaking up the apple cart and sort of, you got a happy bunch, just, keep it more or less on track?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, team spirit is really, really hard thing to achieve. And once you've got it, the best teams have got this team spirit. And then even once the season moves on and the players move on, then they still stay in touch. So, and we still stay in touch with the 92, 93, and perhaps if you played football and a team has done really, really well, they still stay in touch even at grassroots level. So, I think you don't want to really rock it if you don't need to. You might bring in 1, 2, but if you bring in 3, 4, however many, and then you have to start playing them, and they have to learn how other people are playing, and the people around them are playing, and all that sort of stuff, then you could rock the boat, upset people, and then you're almost like starting from scratch. So, maybe he has been given, manager has been given the opportunity to bring players in, and has decided that he doesn't need to or doesn't want to bring too many in.
Also the players he's brought in Tyra. I think he's in his early 20s from Everton, and the lad Scandon, from the other side of Liverpool, has come in at a left back, which we need a backup keeper. We needed a backup left back, so that they were kind of vital ones, really. And he's only a 20-year-old, so he seems to be going with these youngsters, and I suppose that says a lot about BBM and maybe why he came to the club in the first place, actually, to work with younger players. But the way he wants to go forward and progress with Cardiff City, is that you think he's looking towards the future there a bit, Cohen?
I think it is. Well, as long as you can keep the youngsters, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's bringing them in. They're doing really well, getting recognition, and maybe. I think it's changed a little bit, because maybe it's not even down to the players so much in terms of I want to stay. If they've got and they will have all their what do you call them? Their managers and all that sort of stuff. They might be pushing for them to move. Their agents, they might be pushing for them to move, and they're probably thinking, well, perhaps I don't really want to. So as long as it's all right, giving them the experience and gathering a young side and letting them all mature together, but you have to try and keep them together then.
How many people were in the squad in 92, 93? It was something really silly, with like 15 or something mad?
I don't know. I would have thought there would be
really
more
small, wasn't it? Really small squad, I think it was. I think it was a small squad.
I don't know. The kind of, it must have been more than 15.
It was like the actual, what would you call it? The main squad, apart from like fringe players, really. Yeah. It was a small squad, I think.
I wouldn't have said it was that small. I can't remember thinking, we're struggling when we get a few injuries. Yeah. I think in that year, I think we actually were pretty strong, because we were versatile. And, if you remember in that year, Daly was out for a long time. Because, he got injured and he was probably gone Middlesbrough or wherever it was. So Daly was out for a long time. And then Paul Miller dropped back into midfield, and I was playing on the wing or up front. And, and Robbie James could play midfield or at the back, and Nick Richardson could play various positions. So I think the key to it was probably that you had a lot of players who could play in different positions.
Yeah, I think that's right. There was a versatility in that squad. I mean, Derek Brazil's another example of that. Really played centre back, right back, in midfield.
Yeah.
Cohen, what was it like having Stanty in the squad? Because he was a bit of a character, wasn't he?
Stanty's mad. Absolutely raving lunatic. It's funny. The things he used to do. When we were going training or coming back from training, or then when he wanted to try and have a sneaky fag or stuff like that. It's funny. Funny. Good lad, but funny.
And what was Eddie May like as a manager? Did you ever have to cross him? Or?
Well, no, Eddie was fine with me. I mean, when he came first of all as a youth team coach, wasn't he, or something like that? So when I was in Dyfrig Street in the guest house, that's where we were when we first got in there, and Eddie was in there. So he would always say, "Come, let's go over to the Beverley," and all that sort of stuff and things like that. So he liked a little sneaky drink as well. But it was fine. I got on really well with Eddie.
Was it a different way of playing then, Cohen? Obviously, I'm thinking back. I mean, my memory is not brilliant as well, but thinking back we used to get the ball forward a lot. I mean, the new way of playing has got us to top of the league, but we used to get the ball forward a lot quicker, I think, during your time. Am I right there? And were you sort of instructed, even though you were playing up front, mostly on the wing? Were you instructed to ferry back and help your fullback, or was your remit to get the balls in the box and score goals?
Well, it was a completely different game then. Completely different game. Now it's all like sort of build it up from the back and triangles, this, that, and the other. And I remember one pre-season that Eddie decided he was going to change the way we played. We used to get it forward pretty much. Eddie was going to change the way we played, and he said, right, just pass it around at the back until something opens up. And we had the first pre-season friendly, and it was, and we just passed it around the back. And I was gutted because I was kept making these runs to go forward, and it was just like kept going, getting switched back across. And I thought, I'm knackered here, and I've not even seen the ball yet. And then the crowd started to get restless, and then when the ball was finally launched into the channels, the crowd went, yes. And I thought that because it was like back to normal. So I think the fans have also taken it on board now, and they perhaps expect to see a little bit more football played rather than just launching it in there as well. But it is a different game.
Yeah.
Actually, on the back of that, I was going to ask you this earlier, Cohen. You said about Eddie. I loved Eddie May, by the way. I didn't know him like you knew him, but just as a stature and a personality with Cardiff City, he's right up there for me. I waved at him once. He was walking past the castle and he waved back to me. So he's all right. He's all right in my book. But you said about him changing the tactics there, and I was wondering, when a new manager came in, because you would have had new managers along the way. How can you remember? How does a new manager, when he comes into a club, how does he set his stamp in terms of, look, lads, this is the way we're going to play? Is that quite an interesting sort of experience for a player?
Yeah, it is. I've got to be fair. I was always, I signed for Cardiff and fitted in quite well, and I was always a little bit scared. We were talking about transfer deadline, and I was always a bit scared to go to. If somebody comes in and you go to another club, well, what's it going to be like, and will you enjoy it, and this and that, and whatever it might be. And then when Terry Orth came in, his attitude was like completely different to everybody else, and he said, "You are not fit enough," and he ran us all over the shop, right? And I used to think, well, he actually did me a favor, because I thought, if I do go anywhere else, it can't be any harder than this. So it freed me up completely. And I was reasonably fit. I could run all right, but it was like new levels of running. And I just thought, well, okay, well, it can't be any harder than this. So if anybody does come in, I can go.
So you've been on the show a couple of times. What I've always liked about you as a person is it comes across in everything you say. You're a very laid back kind of guy. So I'm guessing, training wasn't top of your enjoyment part of being in football.
Well, no, I didn't mind the training, but I wouldn't train at 100%. That maybe, and that's to my detriment, really. But I think, I used to do just enough, basically. Well, maybe I used to do enough, but I would be all there for the Saturday. So for me, the training was a necessary part. But if I had trained too hard, who said I wouldn't have been able to be 100% for the Saturday? So everything was building up for the Saturday for me.
I get that. There's a great question for you, Cohen. Sorry, I'm just really looking forward to your response to this, because you might. What are they talking about, right? So, Hugh Nicholas, did Die Hunt annoy you with constantly calling out your name in the warm-ups?
Well, probably not, because I didn't used to go out. I mean, you could hear him. You could hear him. I've got to be fair, but I never used to go out for warm-ups because there was one time where Eddie May said to me, "You have to warm up, right?" And he forced me out basically, and I was absolutely terrible. And then in the end, he came up to me and said, "Listen, just go and do whatever you got to do." Because I used to warm up. Oh, you got to prepare for the game, but I would do it in my own way. And I'd be inside, and I would be, get the muscles moving. But I'd prepare mentally more than anything else. And I felt that if I went out onto the pitch, I would do all the pitch thing and see how the pitch was running and all that sort of stuff earlier. But then I'd come in, and the rest of it would be a case of getting myself right mentally. And my argument was, well, I was playing all right and I wasn't pulling muscles. So what I was doing was okay. But he wanted me to change it.
Yeah, you actually, I think you've got a pretty good record. I don't think you were injured that much, were you? Or
no.
Unfit that much with the City?
That's maybe because I didn't go into tackles.
Yeah. Well, tackling's overrated, isn't that?
Oh, right.
That's an interesting
question for you,
yeah,
Cohen.
go on.
You played in an era where there was a lot of crowd trouble. When you were on the pitch playing, how conscious were you of any hassle on the terraces, or are you concentrating on the game and you didn't really take it in?
Yeah, no, I was totally oblivious to everything that was going on. I was concentrating on the what was going on the pitch. I got off some of the matches. I remember watching one match and then it was on playing in one match and then watching it on television. I didn't even realize it was raining. So I was focused on what was going on the pitch.
Yeah, fair enough. We're going to have to talk about a couple of games that have happened, right? So I don't know how much you've seen. I'm not expecting you've seen City that much recently. You know the results, Cohen. Probably. Did you follow the results?
I follow the results. Yeah.
So we'll go in kind of reverse order, I suppose. So Steve, the Burton result is an interesting one because on the show last week, they were the club with the first chance to do the double over us, and they kind of nearly did it. So they're surprising for a team right down there, because I suppose maybe because they are right down there, that they're so defensively is all or nothing for them, and they're hard to beat, aren't they? It seems. Yeah,
and physical, Steve, and I don't think in the makeup of our team, I see Jeff talking about the old Leeds team there. We haven't got a Billy Bremer in the middle of the pitch, and they were throwing long balls into the box, put a lot of pressure on us the first 20, 25 minutes. And I thought the first half was shocking on Saturday. But we just, as I'm watching that team, Steve, and listen, we're top of the league, yes, but no one wants to pull a challenge in. No one wants to pull in the middle of the park. Well, when I thought we lost it when they took Robertson off, I thought that was a bad move personally. And I thought the midfield sort of collapsed when we brought Robertson and Willock off. But we just need a bit more physicality in our team, a bit more bite, especially against teams like a Burton. And big side, they got stuck in. And they got that first goal, and then the crowd's up a little bit. The pitch wasn't the best, was it? But we're going to encounter that, I'd imagine, probably every week between now and the end of the season. Everyone wants the scalp of Cardiff City, don't they? That's the trouble.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Steve, because Gwilym's probably picked up on this as well. But on Facebook, on social media, there's like a league, there's like a League One or EFL groups and whatever, and they're trying to paint us as the moaning minis of League One, the big time Charlies. Cardiff have come down to the division, and moaning all the time. But I'm guessing, Steve, you might see it slightly differently.
Sorry, was that to me, Steve? Sorry.
Yeah, and I'll go to Gwilym. I'll go to you first, Steve, on that. So, is there any validity in that?
In us being moaning minis,
Yeah.
I think. Yes. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I think, as I probably said earlier, Steve, I think even though we're top of the league, we still want that little bit more, don't we? And we're watching the game, and Burton are in the bottom 3 or 4, and yes, on paper we should be beating them, but I think we got to stand up a little bit more to these teams and be a bit more like a Chambers and give a couple of digs. You know, that's all these teams do. And they got big players, and probably like in Cohen's day, I can't remember who was in our midfield back in your day, Cohen. But did we have a nasty player in there? I mean, I know you mentioned Stanty earlier up front, but someone who put a tackle in.
Well, there was Paul Miller,
Right, yeah.
Paul Ramsey.
Paul Ramsey, yeah. There's your man.
Yeah, I'd say they would be the real ball winners in there.
Yeah. We're sort of lacking someone in the middle to do that. Like, I noticed when Turnbull comes on, they just delay that little bit, that split second, and you know, it's in Kellyman's the same to a certain degree. But yeah, I suppose to answer your question, we do like a good moan, Steve, but you know, I think that's a fan's prerogative.
I think the other point there is, you know, Cardiff have 60-70% possession. So that there are going to be more indiscretions against us than we hand out to the opposition. But I'm not one for slating referees, but you know, we're in the third tier of football, and we've certainly got the fourth or the fifth tier of referee. You know, I just you know, some of the decisions recently have been absolutely diabolical. You know, there was the penalty shout for Perry NG. And not only that, we were stood behind the goal, and the goalie made a reasonable save, and then the ref gave a goal kick, and it just seemed obvious it was a deflection. And don't get me wrong, I guess we get away with one or two. You know, we could have had a couple of people sent off this last few weeks, couldn't we? I think Capaccio was probably lucky, and I think Robertson was a bit lucky in the midweek game. And what BBM does, your card is marked if you get a first half booking and you're a defensive player, because you're off, aren't you? He doesn't take the chance of getting somebody sent off. He makes that substitution, which I think is great. But I think the fans, you know, when people say we're moaners, you know, Salek gets absolutely manhandled. And I just, you kind of look at the game objectively, but there should be foul after foul after foul given for him, and he just doesn't get them. So look, if that's what people think, what can you say like that?
Well, it was indicative, Gwilym, you saying that. There was, you know, Stockport fans seems to rattle Barney with Cardiff City afterwards, but interestingly, his name escapes me now, but evidently we saw the clip with their manager after the game and what he said. Did you see that, Gwilym?
Yeah, it's a shocker.
It's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, in another press report, when he was, I can't remember what the manager's name was, but when he was a player, he broke some guy's leg and ended his career. And it was reported in the press.
Chandler, Dave Chandler.
I think Kamara was, who was the commentator on ITV? Chris Kamara. I think he was his manager at the time. And when he put this leg breaker in, the referee only gave him a yellow card, but the manager suspended him for quite a few games because of how terrible the foul was. And that's the type of guy he is. So you can imagine what he drills into his Stockport team. It's physicality above everything else. And the Stockport game, was that the one where Winkle took an elbow? Was that the one? Or
there were 3 or 4 elbow incidents in that game.
Yeah, there was an elbow in front of the Ninian stand, which was that was worse than the challenge on Salek. It was a shocker.
Because it looked premeditated. He looked around and then the elbow went in as far as I could see. For Cohen's benefit, you would have seen this, but Challoner after the game was talking about the fact that young Joel Colwell got the equaliser for us. You know, he was a 20-year-old kid, I think he is. So he got more taking goal, and it was along the lines of, you know, if you're going to score a goal like that, but along the lines of your face shouldn't look the same after you're done. You should at least have your teeth removed. This is the manager of a football league club.
Right, okay. So basically, listen, sometimes you would be expecting, you might be going into a situation and you'd be saying, well, perhaps I might get injured there. So he's just saying as his players to just kick through it anyway. and they put the head there because they know you're going to kick through. So except physicality is a big part of the game. Standing up for yourself is a big part of the game. It's just like trying not to take it over the line, or knowing where the line is.
Yeah.
And then if you don't know, then it's up to the referee to remind people.
On the subject
you've been
of
very diplomatic there, Cohen, I think. Actually.
Sorry, Steve. I was going to say on the subject of referees, Cohen, what's your take on VAR? Personally, I can't stand it. I just wondered, as an ex-player, do you think they should roll it out across all the leagues, or what's your thoughts on it?
When it first came in, it was pretty quick. I can't remember. I think it was a European Championship or whatever it was, and it was quite quick. And it wasn't. And I thought that it worked quite well. I just think it's taken a lot of that instant joy out of the game.
Yeah,
I think. But football it's big money. It's big money now. And getting those decisions right. I mean, they say that an obviously wrong decision, and they're saying somebody's 0.2 millimeters offside. Well, that's not obviously wrong for me anyway. But it's such a big money game that I think getting those decisions right is crucial. I think when Cardiff were in the Premiership, they had a goal given against them.
The Chelsea game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was miles offside. Now, if they'd have won, if VAR had been involved in that, then Cardiff get that win. Who knows what would have happened?
Probably would have stayed up, actually.
Yeah. So
that season was the season where Sean Morrison was getting manhandled all the time at corners and things like that. He was getting rugby tackled half the time, and he just didn't win penalties. And it was if VAR had been adjudicating in those games, we'd have surely got the pens.
Well, they don't give it penalties now anyway, do they? You look at what goes on,
corners.
Off the ball. Well, on corners, but also off the ball. Yeah. I mean, years ago, it used to be that obstructions, you had to be within playing distance of the ball. And now, you just see people running across people to stop them and then just running along their line. Well, that's obvious obstruction, and it never gets called. It's making me wonder whether obstruction is still part of the game.
Well, it's the same with the VAR yesterday. I just think they're taking it back too far. And if anyone saw the Aston Villa goal they had choked off Tammy Abraham yesterday, where they took the play all the way back, a couple of minutes right back down the pitch, where they thought the ball had gone out of play. There was no. It wasn't given at the time, and the ball went from the byline from Aston Villa to the other end, and they banged a goal in. But they couldn't actually get conclusive evidence that the ball was out of play, but they thought it was out of play, so they chalked the goal off. But it took so long, for them to come to that decision. And as you say, Cohen, it's taken away the spontaneity of football. That's why I always enjoyed football over rugby, because of the speed of it. And you scored a goal and the crowd celebrated. Now you score a goal, especially in the Premier League, and you don't know whether to celebrate or not, because they're checking this, that, and the other to see if someone's offside or if the ball's out.
There's rugby about it, but it doesn't last as long. So why can't they do it like rugby do? And maybe even keep people involved like rugby do. It doesn't have to come up with something completely different. Look and see what's working from all the other sports and take the best bits.
There's a comment there from Steve, which is on this topic, because it's obviously quite a hot topic. There's a problem with, this is quite interesting for Cohen's opinion on this, actually. Does the problem with ref quality stem from there being VAR in the Premier League? They need so many refs, to staff that. It means we end up with less experienced officials further down. Do you think there might be anything in that, Cohen?
Yeah, I think so. But, if you're not supporting the refs, I wouldn't be a ref. I don't know how many, who would be. You just get constant abuse.
No, thanks.
So if you want to encourage the refs, you've got to make it worth their while, and you've got to make them feel like they're going to be supported. So is perhaps something make a problem? Why can you not have somebody who specially trained in VAR or something? I don't know. If you can have VAR specialists and stuff like that, so as you can leave the refs or something. I don't know, but there's not enough. You now how big is a VAR team? Probably 5 people or something.
Probably is about that, I would say, is there? Yeah.
So if you got all them, then you're going to run out of refs.
Yeah.
I think the worst job in football must be the 4th official, because you're getting all the flack for a decision somebody else has made.
Yeah.
You can imagine being fourth official with Warnock.
Exactly. Just thinking about Warnock then. He's a nightmare, wasn't he? Yeah. Because he was at fault. He qualified ref himself, Quillen, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he was,
I think he was. Yeah. So he kind of knew. Even worse, he knew what he was talking about. So with the Burton result, I think it's 9 games unbeaten. Is it 9 games unbeaten? I think, Steve, we are at the moment 9. I think it's been 9 games, and so we didn't lose again. But the slight worry is, weirdly, is I didn't see this coming. Lincoln City. So Lincoln City, they just keep on going and they keep on going and they keep going. They keep on eking out the results, and they're only 2 points behind us now, Steve. It's surprising. It's Lincoln that's up there. I didn't see that come in, and do you think they might overtake us the way things are going? And furthermore, would that even matter as long as we go up automatically?
Well, it's a possibility they may overtake us, Steve. But I'm even though we tend to focus on that, and they're catching us, blah blah blah. I tend to look more on the distance between first and third. And quite frankly, as long as we get in the first 2 and get out of this league, I couldn't give a hoot, to be honest. It'd be nice to go up as champions for sure. And again, Lincoln, another big physical side, and they're coming down here shortly, aren't they? So let's be ready for them. Have more shots on the goals.
Yeah, I think where we struggled this season is on small pitches. Burton was a small pitch, Lincoln was a small pitch. I honestly think when Lincoln come down here, I think on a big pitch we'll win that with a bit to spare. That's my honest thoughts. I just I don't think. And as you pointed out, Wiggy, it's 2 teams go up, so I'm always looking at the third club, not the one directly behind us, but yes, the gap between third. It's key, isn't it?
And is it 9 points, Quill, at the moment? I think we're 9.
Less than that, 8, is it?
8, I think. 8 in a game in hand, is it? Or I think that it's 8. It's 8 on Bolton, 8 on Stockport, but Stockport have got a game in hand, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
Just still keeping a little eye on the transfer window, and funny enough, just confirmation now. The last transfer to go down in the English Football League was Gabriel Biancheri to Rotherham. So they brought in 4 players today, or the last couple of days, actually, Rotherham. So they'll be in the squad for the weekend. But there we are. We'll have to deal with that.
I've watched him in the under-21s for Wales a couple of times this season, and he wasn't pulling up trees, in fairness. I don't think there's too much to worry about playing him on Saturday. But
he's a skillful player.
Look, playing for the under-21s at Wales, he didn't look particularly sharp, if I'm honest. He certainly wasn't an eye catcher in the couple of games I saw him.
So sticking with the under-21s, because I know you watch it quite a lot, Quillen. Surprising with Spears coming back from Eastleigh straight away? Yes, I am actually. He's he was at Merthyr, wasn't he? And he played really well up there. I've noticed he didn't really get game time down at Eastleigh, but Eastleigh have had since the Lone Boys have gone down there, the results haven't been great. They've conceded quite a few goals, and I don't think I saw Louis Giles' result. I don't think he got off the bench on Saturday. So I don't think they're getting the game time that they were hoping to get. So I guess that's the reason for recalling him. The whole purpose was him to play in the first team regularly. He's not. He's probably better back with us, isn't he? So at least he's going to get some game time with the academy squad, I suppose. Well, he was. They played
they played Bournemouth this afternoon, and he was on the bench. I don't know if he got on the pitch, but the story behind that, Cardiff were 2-0 up. Bournemouth had a player sent off, and we managed to draw 2-2.
Okay.
With a late goal, 10 men pulled us back to 2-2.
But having said that, quite a lot of them are out on loan. A lot of our quite youngsters are out on loan.
There's a couple down there that really catch the eye. There's a chap there, Jake Davis. He's really good, and Manny Barton. They're
he's quite young, Barton, isn't he? Is he 18? Is he 18 or something, Barton?
Yeah. I think Jake is 20 and Manny is 18. He's still got some growing to do. He's a real small guy but skillful. And so out of the ones that are there playing over the last couple of weeks, those are the two that have caught the eye. But as you pointed out, all the others are either in the first team squad or 5 or 6 of them are out on loan trying to get first team experience. So. And they're still picking up the odd result. It's not that that's particularly important at that level.
Not really about results, I suppose, is it?
No. So, but they play identical to the first team. It's a possession game, playing out from the back.
Apparently, Spears had a good game today, so that's good. And there was a late penalty apparently in the under 21. So we're getting our Irish correspondent is giving us the goods as usual. Cohen, just slight handbrake turn on this, because it's really interesting with you and your football career, because I think you got into pro football when you were 26, if I remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like, we're talking about kids here. Yeah, we're talking about we're talking about youngsters. I mean, we had a lad on the bench on the weekend, Tankiewicz. What's he, 17 or something? 16, 17, something crazy. So you the way you came in was quite different. So, did you sort of land on your feet, sort of thing? And I know you were from the Leicester area. How did you transition into professional football? I think it was quite a good little story, I remember.
How did I transition? Well, I was playing on the parks at 21. Which was around here would probably be, well, it's below Welsh League, that sort of stuff. So I was playing on the parks, and then somebody wanted to sign me, and I just and when I said no, I'll stay with my mates, sort of stuff. And he said, well, you can always go forward, but you can always go back. You never know when you're going to get another chance to go forward. So I just sort of, used that as my motto, and every time I got an opportunity to go forward, I took it. And then within 4 or 5 years, then playing for Cardiff then. But, I think I could have made the move earlier. I just got injured last minute of a game when we were 4-0 up, and I went in for a tackle on the edge of my own box, which is stupid. But, so, you live and learn. But, so I felt that's how I got into it. I thought my chance had gone. But you never know who's watching. Somebody was watching another player, I think it was, and I think they asked them to go, and they said no, and they switched to me.
Yeah, I could say you're a really popular player at City, and as we again said earlier, you're like a regular face. You're in the team most of the time, and we remember some of those characters, and there were some good characters. We mentioned Paul Ramsey earlier. Paul Ramsey be sent off every week now, wouldn't he?
Well, the game has changed, isn't it? You were allowed to put tackles in and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's so easy to get booked, and the consequences are such that if you go down to 10 men, you're almost certainly going to lose the game. That I can understand that if someone's getting booked, has got booked, you might have to bring them off. Because sometimes the players just throw themselves on the floor, and the referees buy it. So so I can understand, the BBM sort of saying, right, okay, then I've got to bring you off now.
So just to ask you a kind of personal one on the back of that, then, do you think these days it's as likely, shall I say, that a 26 you get into pro football, or do you think that those academy days these days, the youngsters, you got to prove yourself fairly early on? Do you think?
I think it's still possible, but it's probably if you're playing at any sort of, if you had a half decent play, you would have probably played in an academy or at that higher level. Academies cost money. Perhaps people haven't got the money, so I think people can slip through and be a late developer or whatever it might be. But I think the odds of it happening at 26, I mean, I'm trying to think of players who are making their league debut quite late now, and I can't think of anybody.
No.
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
But that's a good few years back now, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kiefer Moore.
Was he?
Yeah. Okay.
Kiefer Moore. I think was quite late.
Okay, fair enough.
I think he was. He was. I think he came into the game late.
Yeah, but Vardy had also been with Sheffield Wednesday, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't know if Kiefer Moore had been and then sort of had come out of it completely and then got back in or whatever it might be. For me, I was never anywhere. Well, no, I was when I was about 12 with Leicester for a few weeks. One of the very first sort of training things that they used to do. But no, I was never involved with a professional club up till signing then.
There's helpful advice from Graham. Thanks, Graham. The other game,
What about Traore though? Doesn't he? He always puts all the oil on, doesn't he, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think he just likes putting the oil on personally, but he says that it's so as when they try and grab him that it's harder to grab.
It would make sense. The other game we didn't get into was we beat Barnsley 4-0. It was an interesting one because it never really felt like a 4-0 towards the end of the second half when the Olays were going off. First half I didn't think we were that impressive really. But a 4-0 win is a 4-0 win, so we'll take that all day long. We got Rotherham away on the weekend, Cohen, and they've signed. I think they've signed 4 players in the last couple of days, including Biancheri. He probably come and get a goal against us on the weekend there. For what it's worth, Rotherham away. I'm sure you've played at Rotherham, Cohen. Cardiff City off to Rotherham. What's the result going to be?
Well, you'd like to think that Cardiff are going to win, but it's just you know what it's like. If you're at the top, you are a target, and teams raise their game.
Yeah,
they raise the game because you're the one to beat, and they're going to be having God knows how many debutants as well.
Yep.
So it's not going to be easy. And if it is, then it's so much the better. But I think you go there, you're expecting it to be a battle. You're expecting them to raise their game, and you go out with that mindset that you've got to be at your best. Yep. And if you're at their best and they're at their best, then you think you'll win. But you can't take anything for granted.
Okay, Gwyl, could you go to you next?
We're a better team than them. We'll have the possession. I suppose the bottom line comes. It's just about sticking the ball in the net, and if we do that a couple of times, I'm sure we'll win. But we should be going to a side near the bottom of the league and coming back with 3 points.
Okay, unlike the Burton result, of course, we would have said the same thing as was. Steve,
as long as even if we come back with a point, it's not an absolute disaster.
No, it's not.
Our runs recently have been win draw, haven't they?
Exactly. So it's your win. I think
that's an average of 2 points a game. And that's job done, then, isn't it?
That's enough. Yeah, we're averaging just over 2 at the moment. Steve, do you want to give us a result?
Thinking back to games up there in the past, Steve, it's all dependent on the waterlogged pitch. I don't know if you remember that from a couple of seasons ago. But I'm going 2-1 City on Saturday. I think we got enough to win up there.
Okay. So I think we're all saying we're going to win. I'll take that anyway. Well, thank you in particular to Cohen, but thanks, Gwilym. Good to get you back on the show again. And thanks, Steve. See you all again soon.
Pleasure.
Good guys.
Good to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.